Good morning and welcome to Baltimore. My name is Roger Harris and I'm the president of Amtrak. I want to thank everyone for joining us here today to celebrate the completion of an important infrastructure project for Amtrak, Baltimore, and the Northeast Corridor. This beautiful brand new boarding platform. Before we begin our program, I want to offer a quick safety briefing. Safety is our top priority at Amtrak. Given that we are technically located in a construction zone, I want to remind everyone to please watch their footing and be aware of any potential tripping hazards. If you do plan to take the train today, please be extra cautious on stairs and platforms, especially given the cold and wet weather we've been having recently. Also, Amtrak police are on site in the event of an emergency and ready to assist if needed. As we kick off our ceremony this morning, it's important to note that this platform is only one visible milestone as part of a larger improvement effort to redevelop and expand Baltimore Penn Station. In fact, this platform is the first of two new platforms at this station being built through Amtrak's new Acela Railroad Rehabilitation and Improvement Financing Loan, a $60 million facility here in Baltimore, which itself is part of a much bigger $150 million project to improve and expand the station. We're standing here on Platform 5, which will begin serving customers primarily on Amtrak service this spring. And if you look just behind this train that pulled in just now, you will see construction of Platform 2, which is currently underway, which should wrap up this fall and which will primarily serve MARC trains. Baltimore Penn Station is the 8th busiest station on the Amtrak network, serving more than 3 million Amtrak and MARC passengers each year, and it continues to grow. Over the past year, Amtrak ridership in Baltimore has risen by nearly 30%, which is ahead of the 24% growth we've seen nationally. As we look to the future, Amtrak has an ambitious goal to double our ridership nationwide by 2040. This project, along with the station expansion I mentioned, will prepare Baltimore Penn Station to support continued passenger growth. As we strive to improve the passenger experience, this additional platform will also allow Amtrak more options to board passengers to help get them to their destinations on time. Each new platform will provide over 1,000 linear feet of space, including pedestrian pathways, new elevators, escalators, and improved ADA accessibility. The project also includes renovated platform head house, which we see above us, roofing, and historical restoration of columns and canopies of each of the platforms. From an operational standpoint, this new platform will offer Amtrak more flexibility. When other platforms are occupied, this platform will be available for high-speed train to board and deboard passengers without waiting. Part of our new high-level platforms, this will support Amtrak's expansion of high-speed rail service with our new Acela trains, which are expected to debut on the Northeast Corridor later this year. And with that, I would like to introduce FRA Deputy Administrator Jennifer Mitchell. Jennifer was appointed to this position in April 2022, and as Deputy Administrator, she provides executive leadership, direction on agency operations and policy matters, including the agency's safety and rail development activities. Deputy Administrator Mitchell.
Good morning. It is great to be here. Thank you very much, Roger, for the introduction. It's great to be here with also Senator Cardin, Senator Van Hollen, Mayor Scott, Secretary Wiedefeld, and Administrator Arnold as well. On behalf of USDOT Secretary Pete Buttigieg and also the Federal Railroad Administration, congratulations on completing Platform 5 here at Baltimore Penn Station. We are very proud to support this work with Amtrak in the state of Maryland to ensure that Americans have access to the passenger rail service they need and deserve. Baltimore Penn Station is a very important and historic hub. It is a critical stop on the Northeast Corridor, and the renovations and expansion underway will ensure that this station continues to serve the residents of Baltimore and benefit travelers up and down America's busiest rail corridor. This is a very exciting time for rail in Maryland and rail in the country. Since the beginning of the Biden-Harris administration, FRA has invested unprecedented funding in rail projects that advance our core goals of safety, economic strength, and competitiveness, equity, and sustainability. FRA has advanced nearly 170 projects nationwide with funding from the President's bipartisan infrastructure law, and we have recently selected another 69 corridors across 44 states for future development. This includes more than $16 billion in federal-state partnership grants for 25 projects of national significance along the Northeast Corridor that we awarded last November. Notably, Maryland received nearly $7 billion for 5 passenger rail projects. In addition to a grant to help with the renovation and restoration of Baltimore Penn Station, we have other major projects moving forward, like the new Frederick Douglass Tunnel, which will be replacing service in the B&P Tunnel, as well as replacements of the Bush River Bridge, Gunpowder River Bridge, and Susquehanna River Bridge. All of these vital yet aging structures are more than 100 years old. So new infrastructure means fewer delays and disruptions, increased speed, and greater reliability. As part of President Biden's Investing in America agenda, we are tackling longstanding infrastructure needs, and we're finally reversing half a century of federal underinvestment in rail. More funding and more project selections are still to come. With 5 years of total funding from the bipartisan infrastructure law, we are just getting started. Again, FRA is very proud of our partnerships here in Maryland and with Amtrak. We look forward to working closely to invest in a world-class passenger rail network that Americans need and deserve. Congratulations again on today's achievement. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Administrator. Next, I'd like to introduce Senator Ben Cardin. He's a third-generation Marylander and senior senator. Senator Cardin was first elected to the Senate in 2006 and has been a national leader in healthcare, retirement security, the environment, and fiscal issues, and has represented the state of Maryland in the U.S. Senate, and before that, the U.S. House of Representatives. And of course, he's also a strong Amtrak supporter. Senator?
First, to Roger Harris, thank you very much, and thank you for your leadership at Amtrak. Thank you for the investment that you're making in regards to Baltimore and our nation's rail. And I want to start with Jennifer Mitchell, if I might, from the Federal Railroad Administration. I'm very proud of Team Maryland. Senator Van Hollen, Mayor Brandon Scott, and others. We've been together a lot of events here with ribbon cuttings and groundbreakings, and I'm proud of Team Maryland because we have been able to take advantage of many opportunities in regards to infrastructure. But you don't have those opportunities unless they're there, unless there's something we can go for. And it's been the Biden administration that gave us the bipartisan infrastructure bill, that gave us the different tools that we've been able to take advantage of in Baltimore and Maryland. Thank you to the Biden administration for all you've done to rebuild America. And I want to talk about Team Maryland. Paul Wiedefeld's here from the state. It's been the city leadership, the state leadership, the federal leadership. We've been here many times. We've been at Penn Station many times. Penn Station, what an incredible history from the beginning of the 20th century to today. We've invested in the multimodal transportation hub that's right here at Penn Station. We have federal grants. Senator Van Hollen and I have sponsored earmarks. We've worked together as Team Maryland. The Frederick Douglass Tunnel. Thank you, Mayor Scott, for everything you've done in regards to your commitment, giving us the tools that we need. And the Moore administration has been right there every step of the way. This is Team Maryland fighting for what we need in order for our transportation. And yes, you talked about all the rail. We could talk about all the roads, all the bridges. What we have done here, it's reconnecting communities. Got rid of that toll booth in the Harbor Tunnel. One right after the next. The Port of Baltimore. Senator Van Hollen and I have a problem with our schedule making all these different events. But we love it. We love it. And what does this mean? Yes, it's going to help us with the high-speed rail. Absolutely essential. It's also going to make the passenger use here so much more friendly. I use these platforms regularly. This is really nice to see this. I won't have to struggle as much to try to get up that escalator when I get off the train. This is what we need for the passengers. And those with disabilities are going to be accommodated by what is being done here. This is a win-win-win. So we are excited. And I tell you, we work together as a team. You hear that frequently from Governor Moore. I can tell you, Senator Van Hollen and I work very closely with Congressman Mfume, Congressman Rubersberger, Congressman Sarbanes. We work together as a team so we can deliver more for our community. Penn Station, what an incredible history. New York Times said Baltimore is one of the places you want to make sure you visit in 2024. It's our history, it's our current and our future, and you see that with the investments being made here. Penn Station, a place where people will meet, a transportation hub, the entry to Baltimore. This is a major step forward, and I'm proud to be part of this team.
Thank you, Senator Cardin. Next, I'd like to introduce the other senator from Maryland, Senator Chris Van Hollen. The senator was elected to the U.S. Senate in November of 2016. He's been a staunch advocate for creating more and better jobs, strengthening small businesses, increasing educational and job opportunities for individuals of all ages, and of course, expanding passenger rail in the U.S. Please welcome Senator Chris Van Hollen.
Well, thank you, Roger. Good morning, Baltimore. And Mr. Mayor, it's good to see you. We were together yesterday at the Ravens game. Tough result. So we thought we'd bring Baltimore some good news here this morning, right here at Penn Station. But seriously, the Ravens play the long game, and they will be back next year. And Baltimore and Maryland play the long game when it comes to rail. Because I think many people here know that Baltimore was the site of the first common carrier in the United States of America, the B&O. And so from the B&O to today, Baltimore has been a hub for rail, commercial rail and passenger rail, which we're focused on here today. And I want to thank all of the team members who brought us here today. To the president of Amtrak, who you heard, Roger Harris, thank you and your entire team. You've got a lot of resources and you're deploying them very well. To the FRA Deputy Director, Jennifer Mitchell, again, thank you. Thank you for your good custodian, good care of the dollars that you've got and putting them to work on behalf of Maryland and the entire country. And Team Maryland, Secretary Wiedefeld, always good to see you. Holly Arnold, thank you for your terrific work. And my partner in the United States Senate. He's very modest. I just want to let you know, and many of you already do, that he is a member of the Environment and Public Works Committee, but not just a member, but he chaired for the critical period the subcommittee on infrastructure. And when I say the critical period, I mean the time that we passed the infrastructure modernization bill on a bipartisan basis. And he has announced that he's not running again, but as you can see, he's running very hard through the finish line. We won't let him go even after that. Thank you to Ben Cardin for all your good work. This platform is an important step forward, one very important step forward of others you've heard at Penn Station and on the whole system. It is made possible by the federal railroad rehabilitation improvement finance loan program. And this is one piece of the puzzle that we use for various infrastructure investments. It's going to help move people, Marylanders, up and down the Northeast Corridor. And as you heard, 3 million people travel through this station every single year, and that's growing. So this not only keeps Marylanders moving, Americans moving, it also helps keep our economy moving as we go about that important business. This is also going to improve ride quality, reliability, ADA accessibility, and it's going to help, as you heard, accommodate the new Acela high-speed rail. We made sure when we reauthorized and expanded the infrastructure bill to include an extension or reauthorization of this loan program. But as you heard, we also did a number of other things, and a historic investment when it comes to rail. And Penn Station is going to be the beneficiary of that, $108 million. Bill Struver, it's good to see you and your entire team who are part of this, and everybody from the private and public sector who are part of that big effort to really make Penn Station taking the history of the station and moving it into the 21st century. So we have the best of that history along with a world-class Penn Station right here. And those billions of dollars of investment in upgrading the B&P tunnel to the Frederick Douglass tunnel is going to dramatically reduce the travel time between Baltimore City and our nation's capital in Washington, D.C. And that will also be a great boon to downtown Baltimore and this entire Baltimore area. So it's an exciting time all around to participate in this. I will just make the point in closing, as Senator Cardin did, that you can't take these actions for granted at the federal level. There was a period of time when, before the Biden-Harris administration were in the White House, that there was a running joke in Washington. The running joke was that every week is infrastructure week. And the reason it was a joke was everyone talked about how we were going to invest in our nation's infrastructure. Well, here we are during this 4 years of this administration, and when we say every week is infrastructure week, we mean moments just like this, because every week really has been a moment where we're celebrating the important investments that we're making as a country in our infrastructure. And right here in Baltimore City, we're doing that today across the board in many different modes of transportation, including in rail, because Baltimore started as the rail capital of America, and it is still the rail capital of America. Thank you all very much for being part of this.
Thank you, Senator Van Hollen. Next, I'd like to introduce Baltimore Mayor Brandon Scott. Mayor Scott is the 52nd mayor of Baltimore, and he is working hard to end gun violence, restore the public's trust in government, and change Baltimore for the better. He's also been an advocate for Amtrak, and I'm pleased to welcome him here today.
Thank you, Mr. President, and good morning, everyone. I know we're all still in mourning. I think the senator saw a side of me that he never saw before yesterday, but he won't see that side again next year. It's such a great morning to be here with this incredible group. Thank you again, Mr. President, for your belief in this station and Amtrak, of course, all across the country. Thank you, Madam Deputy Director, for your support and what the federal government, as you heard from the two best senators in the United States Senate, Senator Cardin, Senator Van Hollen, have said that thank yous also come from us at the city level. And as I always say, we have the best federal delegation a mayor could ask for. When I was with my good friend, Mayor Quentin Lucas, yesterday, I can assure you that he doesn't have the same relationship with his senators and his congresspeople that we don't have to fight. I'm always amazed when we have U.S. Conference of Mayors in D.C. and my colleagues say, Mr. Mayor, are you going to meet with your congressional people today? I said, you guys can only do that when you're here in D.C.? That's how that works? No, I'm good. I can just pick up the phone and call them. So thank you to both of you for always believing and supporting on Baltimore. And, of course, our fabulous partners at the state. Secretary Widefeld, thank you. I know you and I will be jetting out here to go to the same event in a few. And to my neighbor, Holly Arnold, thank you for all that you do for MTA. It is a fantastic day to be here in Baltimore. As we know, Baltimore is the home and birthplace of rail as we know it in these United States of America. And we have always been a world wide crossroads. For centuries, our port, our train stations have fueled our city, and in many ways the nation, and we continue to do so today. Penn Station, as you know, continues to be one of the busiest Amtrak stations in the country, and ridership of this station grew faster than Amtrak ridership nationally, much like our economy, Mr. President, grew much faster than most cities across this country. It's fitting that you said that this station is the 8th busiest station in the country, because our economy is the 8th fastest growing in the country. And we know we outpace the United States of America. For so many, this station is its gateway to Charm City. Every year, millions of visitors, commuters, and residents arrive. For me, it's about departing here, going to New York by Acela train, because that's the only way you can go to Baltimore to New York is by Amtrak Acela. If you drive or do anything else, I don't know what's wrong with your mind. But we do that right here on these platforms. Just as disappointing as the result was yesterday, still, thousands of people poured into the city for one of the biggest sporting events of the year, and certainly one of the biggest that our city has ever hosted. And many of them came right here through this station. For decades, Penn Station has served our city well. Now this new platform and all the renovations to come will breathe new life into the historic train station and provide much needed upgrades for convenience, safety, and the enjoyment of everyone passing through the station. There is an incredible lot to be excited about right here in Baltimore. Of course, there's transportation projects like this one, and let me again take time out to thank the Biden and Harris administration for their effort to pour into Baltimore like no presidential administration before them. But beyond that, the billions of dollars in investment that are pouring into new developments are springing up both downtown and around town in so many neighborhoods that have been historically neglected. We're seeing success in our efforts to improve public safety, and thank you to our senators for being the first to be on board with our new strategy. That, Mr. Senators, by the way, has us at a 44% reduction in homicides from last year, as you and I talked today this morning. I want every single person to be a part of that renaissance that is being fueled here in Baltimore, and when they do, they'll be greeted by a beautifully upgraded platform, part of a bigger renovation that is indicative of all the exciting things that is happening here in Charm City. Thank you all for believing and betting on Baltimore, and thank you for making my trip to New York a little easier. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Scott. Next, I would like to introduce Maryland Department of Transportation Secretary Paul Wiedefeld. Paul was confirmed as secretary in early 2023, and as such, he oversees Maryland Department of Transportation's 6 agencies, including the State Highway Administration, Maryland Transit Administration, Motor Vehicle Administration, Aviation Administration, Port Administration, and Maryland Transportation Authority. Secretary Wiedefeld.
Good morning. As you can see, we do run the mark system here, so I had the train move so we could all hear better. So thank you, Holly. Really, just very quickly, this is about partnerships. The partnership, obviously, with Amtrak, with the federal government, and obviously with our delegation and the city of Baltimore. But to me, this is much more than a platform. This is about the future of this community that surrounds this great station that we have here. And Bill, thank you for everything you've done, obviously for the city over the years, but some of your grand thoughts here and some of our other developers and nearby, because that's what this is about, and that's what the Moore administration is about, is how do we connect back to communities with these public investments? And that's to me, the real value of this project. So thank you, Amtrak, and for FRA and the delegation. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary. And next, I'd like to introduce MTA Administrator Holly Arnold. The administrator has served in this role since November 2021 and is currently overseeing the 13th largest transit system in America, managing 6 modes: local bus, metro subway, light rail, mobility paratransit, commuter bus, and MARC train service. Administrator Arnold.
Thank you and good morning. I'm so excited to be here to help dedicate this boarding platform today because, as the Secretary says, it does represent the work of an amazing partnership. And because of that partnership, our MARC riders and our Amtrak riders will enjoy a transit and travel experience that is going to keep getting better for years to come. It takes people with a passion for results for projects like this to succeed. And so for that, I'd like to say thank you to our friends at Amtrak, at the Federal Railroad Administration, our fantastic federal delegation, Secretary Wiedefeld, Governor Moore, and Mayor Scott for their commitment to improving transit for our region. Penn Station plays an important role in MTA's transit network. It provides vital multimodal connections to our riders with local bus and MARC train, connecting us to Amtrak's regional system right here at Penn Station. With MTA's $6 million federal raise grant, we're investing in improving those connections to Penn Station for our transit riders. And we've partnered with Amtrak to provide a $20 million match to their overall station improvements project that will continue to benefit our riders. So I'm excited to work in partnership with Amtrak and Baltimore City on these projects that will improve safety, reliability, and accessibility. And then additionally, MTA is investing $185 million in our MARC train and locomotive railcar overhauls to improve our on-time performance, our system reliability, and ensure that our fleet remains in a state of good repair to serve those riders. Public transit is essential to the long-term success of this city and the region. It brings us new economic activities, helps us to meet our climate goals, and increases access for everyone. And investments such as these truly show that we view transit as a priority in our state. So thank you again.
Thank you, Administrator Arnold. We are so appreciative to all of our speakers here today for their advocacy of Amtrak in the local community and in Washington, D.C. Thank you, Senators Cardin and Van Hollen, Mayor Scott, and our partners from the Federal Railroad Administration and Maryland Department of Transportation. Amtrak is working tirelessly to enhance the customer experience across the country, improve safety and reliability, drive economic development, reduce trip times, expand capacity, advance accessibility, and promote a more sustainable future. Thanks to historic funding in the infrastructure law, Amtrak is leading a new era of passenger rail by investing over $50 billion in modern trains, enhanced stations, new tunnels and bridges, and other critical infrastructure upgrades. While these projects are scattered across the Northeast Corridor and around the country, several notable projects are taking place right here in Maryland. As you've heard from some of the other speakers, just south of here, major construction work will begin later this year on our Frederick Douglass Tunnel program, which will replace the 150-year-old BMP tunnel. Thanks to a $4.7 billion grant announced by President Biden late last year, the overall program will feature 2 electrified passenger rail tubes, new roadway and rail bridges, new rail systems and tracks, as well as a new accessible MARC commuter rail station in West Baltimore. And north of here, there is Amtrak's Susquehanna River Rail Bridge. This is the longest movable bridge on the Northeast Corridor and is quickly approaching 120 years since it opened. We just awarded a construction contract to replace the existing 2-track bridge with 4 tracks on 2 new bridges. Additional infrastructure upgrades like redesigned interlockings, new tracks, and modernized signals will also support higher speed train travel. These generational investments mean we're no longer simply a passenger rail operator. Today, Amtrak is also a major construction company executing one of the largest capital programs in the history of the United States. But we can't do this alone. We're working closely with our federal, state, and local government partners, rail partners, and many others to implement these projects effectively. Several of those partners are here with us today, and I'd like to continue to thank them for their support. I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge the support that we've also received from the Amtrak Planning Department, the Capital Delivery Partners, and Construction Project team in planning for today's event. It certainly wasn't easy to coordinate a ceremony like this in the middle of an active construction zone. As we close our program, I want to invite each of our speakers back to the front for our official ribbon cutting ceremony.